At first, it feels powerful, like you've chosen something bigger than yourself. People shake your hand, they nod, they say it's honorable. But no one tells you what happens when the world changes, and the oath doesn't. That's when you understand. You don't break an oath. It breaks you quietly. You are standing on the ramparts of Acre. It is May 1291. The heat is not just in the air, it is trapped under the layers of wool, mail, and plate you have worn for 3 days straight. The metal feels like it is fused to your skin. You can smell your own exhaustion. It smells like rust and old sweat. You look out at the dark horizon, and you see a sea of torches that outnumber the stars. You realize the promise you made in a cool stone chapel in France has brought you to a graveyard in the sand. If you are here for the history they don't teach in schools, the scars, not the statues, subscribe to the channel right now. We are walking into the moment where legends crack. The psychological weight of this night is crushing because you know deep down, the math doesn't work. The city is lost. The kingdom is dead. But the words you spoke years ago, poverty, chastity, obedience, they do not care about the tactical map. They demand you stay. They demand you die for a line in the sand that has already been crossed. Be honest. You didn't join the order for God. You joined for the silence. In a world full of great choices of messy politics and family feuds, the temple offered you a drug. Certainty. It was seductive. That is the only word for it. You gave up your name, your lands, your will. In exchange, you received the ultimate luxury. You never had to think again. You just obeyed. You swung the sword where the master pointed. You slept when the bell rang. You ate what was placed before you. For years, the routine saved you. It built a wall around your mind just as thick as the walls of this fortress. You felt superior to the merchants and the nobles who scrambled for coin and favor. You had something they didn't. You had purpose. But purpose is fragile. It relies on the world making sense. And as you look over the battlements at the Sultan's siege engines, the world stops making sense. There are too many of them. Their catapults are too strong. The stones of the Tower of the Accursed are cracking. You see the cracks spiderwebbing through the masonry, and you feel them in your own chest. The certainty is leaking out. You look at your brothers. They are not the warrior monks of the stories. They are tired men. Some are shaking. Some are praying with a frantic energy that smells like panic. You realize the order is not a divine entity. It is just men, huddled together, using a vow to keep from screaming. The bombardment is a rhythm now, a heartbeat of destruction. Thud. Crash. Silence. Thud. You stop flinching after the 100th impact. The human mind is strange. It normalizes the horrific to keep the engine running. You are stationed near the St. Anthony's Gate. The dust is so thick you chew it. It coats your tongue, your throat. You are thirsty, a deep primal thirst, but you don't drink. Water is for the fighting intervals. Right now you just watch. This is the torture of the oath. It strips away your survival instinct. Your biology screams at you to run. Every nerve ending in your body is firing a warning signal. Get out, go to the ships, live. But the oath is a rewriting of your software. It overrides the command to survive. It replaces it with the command to endure. You watch the civilians rushing toward the harbor. You see a father carrying a child pushing through the crowd, eyes wide with the animal need to protect his blood. You feel a sudden, sharp pang of envy, not because he is escaping, but because his duty is simple. His duty is to life. Your duty is to a concept, a symbol, and symbols do not bleed, but you will. You wonder if God is watching this, or if, like the Grand Master, he is too busy managing the disaster to notice one knight standing on a crumbling wall. The doubt is a cold stone in your stomach. You push it down. You tighten your grip on the hilt of your sword until your knuckles turn white. You are not allowed to doubt. That was part of the deal. The walls don't explode. They give up. It happens with a slide. A section of the curtain wall simply surrenders, sliding into the moat in a cloud of gray debris. The sound follows a second later, a roar that shakes the ground through the soles of your boots. Then comes the noise of the enemy, a unified shout from thousands of throats. It is the sound of a predator that knows the prey is trapped. This is the moment of transformation. The waiting is over. The abstraction of honor is replaced by the physical reality of combat. You draw your sword. The metal rings, a clear note in the cacophony. You step forward to fill the gap. This is where the training takes over. You stop being a person. You become a mechanic of death. You block, you strike, you thrust. It is work, brutal, sweating, heavy work. You see the faces of the enemy up close. They are not monsters. They are men, sweating just like you, fearful just like you, driven by their own oaths. This realization hits you harder than a mace. You are killing mirrors of yourself. But you cannot stop. To stop is to betray the man standing next to you. And that is the trap. You are not fighting for the kingdom of heaven anymore. You are fighting so the brother on your left and the brother on your right don't die alone. The oath has shrunk. It is no longer about God. It is about not being the one who breaks the line. The sun sets, but the burning city provides enough light to see the devastation. The outer city is lost. The order is given to retreat to the Templar fortress by the sea. It is a massive structure, the strongest point in the city. A trap within a trap. As you fall back, fighting step by step, you see the cost of your hesitation. The civilians who didn't make the ships are being overrun. You want to help them. You want to break formation and cut a path for that woman, for that child. But the discipline holds you in the phalanx. Hold the line. Fall back. The orders are absolute, then you see it. The Grand Master Guillaume de Beaujeu, the giant, the myth. He jerks back. An arrow. A small, stupid piece of wood in the armpit. He falls, he dies. And just like that, the fiction breaks. If the leader can die, the protection is gone. You are just meat in a can, backing slowly into a stone coffin. The retreat feels like a betrayal, but you do it. You march backward, swinging at shadows, until the heavy wooden doors of the fortress slam shut, sealing you inside with the few who remain. Inside the fortress, the silence is terrifying. Outside, the city is being sacked. You can hear it. The screams are muffled by the thick stone, which makes them sound like ghosts. Inside there are monks, knights, and the wealthy merchants who bought their way into the safety of the Templar Tower. It smells of unwashed bodies, rust, and terror. You take off your helmet. The air hits your wet hair, cold and shocking. You look at your sword. The edge is notched. The blood on it is drying, turning black and sticky. You sit on a wooden crate, your legs trembling uncontrollably. This is the adrenaline crash. Your body has spent everything it had, and now it wants payment. You look at the others. No one speaks of victory. No one speaks of relief. You all know the math. The tunnel to the sea is collapsed. The ships are gone. The Sultan has miners digging underneath the tower right now. It is only a matter of time before the foundation gives way. You are trapped in the monument to your own stubbornness. And yet, no one suggests surrender. Why? Because the oath creates a sunk cost fallacy. You have already paid so much: your youth, your freedom, your blood. To surrender now would mean admitting that it was all for nothing. To surrender would be to admit that you are just a man who wants to live. So you polish your armor. You sharpen the notched blade. You prepare to die because it is the only way to validate the life you lived. Days pass, or maybe hours. Time distorts in the dark. Scratch, scratch. You can hear them. The miners are digging underneath the tower. You can hear the scratching, like rats in the walls. They are replacing the stones with timber props, which they will set on fire to bring the whole thing down. You are standing on your own grave while it is being dug. A young knight, a boy really, maybe 20 years old, sits next to you. He asks you if it was worth it. He asks if God accepts the sacrifice if the result is defeat. You look at him. He wants you to lie. He wants the veteran to tell him that there is a mystical purpose to this waste. You have a choice. You can give him the comfort of the lie or the dignity of the truth. You look at his hands, clean and shaking. You lie. You tell him that the worth isn't in the result. It's in the fact that he stayed when he could have run. It's a half-truth, but it calms him. You realize that you are now the keeper of the illusion. You have become the old man who nodded at you when you first joined. You are perpetuating the cycle. You are convincing the young to feed themselves to the machine. The guilt is sharp. But what else can you offer him? Hope? There is no hope. There is only the manner of the end. You stand up. The scratching sound has stopped. That means they are lighting the fires. The floor doesn't shake. It tilts. It starts with a groan of timber and stone, a sound like the earth itself is in pain. The tower doesn't collapse instantly. It slumps. The massive stones grind against each other. Men lose their footing. The illusion of stability is gone. The walls blow out. Sunlight and dust rush in, and with them, the enemy. This is the end. There is no formation now. There is no strategy. It is just a brawl in the ruins. You swing your sword, but your arms are heavy lead. You take a blow to the shoulder, the pauldron dents, the bone underneath cracks. The pain is white and hot, focusing the world into a single point. You are not fighting for the Holy Land. You are fighting for the next 3 seconds of breath. You see the boy, the one you comforted. He goes down. He doesn't scream. He just looks surprised. You step over him. You have to. The survival instinct is back, fighting with the oath for control of your limbs. You back into a corner. There are 3 of them. You parry, you strike, but you are slow. You are so tired. You understand now why the old knights looked so weary. They knew this was the destination. They knew that honor is a heavy coat to wear when you are drowning. It ends in darkness. Not death, not yet, but the darkness of unconsciousness, or the collapse of the structure burying you. When the dust settles, the age of the Crusades is over. The mainland is lost. The oath you swore has outlived the kingdom it was meant to serve. This is the tragedy of the rigid mind. The world is fluid. It changes. It adapts. It flows like water. But the oath is stone. It stays where it is placed until the water wears it down or the earth swallows it. We look back at these men and we call them heroes or fanatics or fools. We try to put them in boxes that make sense to us. But the truth is more uncomfortable. They were men who made a deal with an absolute. And absolutes do not exist in nature. They only exist in the human mind. The psychological toll of holding on to an absolute in a relative world is what breaks you. It creates a tension that snaps the soul long before the body dies. You carry the weight of that stone tower in your chest. You carry the silence of the boy who died surprised. You carry the question that has no answer. If the oath killed everything I loved, was it the oath I served or was it death itself? We are not knights. We do not wear mail. But we make vows. We pledge ourselves to careers that drain us, to relationships that have turned cold, to images of ourselves that no longer fit. We stay in the crumbling tower because we said we would, because we are afraid of who we are without the armor. We are afraid that if we walk away, the last 10 years meant nothing. So we stay. We listen to the scratching in the walls. We polish the rust. We wait for the floor to tilt. The story of the Templar in Acre is not just history. It is a mirror. It asks you a simple, terrifying question. What are you holding on to just because you are afraid to let go? The bravest thing isn't always to fight. Sometimes the bravest thing is to admit the war is over. If this story resonated with a battle you are fighting in silence, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like to signal you are here, and tell me in the comments, what is the oath you regret taking? I read every single one. Until next time, survive your own walls.